Coventry out. It was such a weird feeling at post-game. Manchester United almost sheepish in their celebrations, but in the end, they are through to the final. Let's get some reaction after the match.
Is it a bit of a disappointment that you didn't get to wrap it up earlier, or is it just kind of satisfaction and joy that you got the job done in the end?
Yeah, obviously it's a great achievement. 3 finals in 2 years. Yeah, it's mixed emotion in there. Obviously, we're delighted to reach a FA Cup final. It's really important for this club to be challenging for these big trophies. And yeah, it was. I mean, it was a chaotic game. I mean, we played really well for the first 65 minutes of the game. Really professional, and then I don't know what happened. I think we've got to look at ourselves. We've got to take more responsibility. We acted like kids out there, and we've got to show that we're big men, and to play for this club, it comes with a huge responsibility, and we didn't show enough out there in the last 30 minutes of normal time, and then obviously extra time. I think the boys was really cautious of not losing the game. We really fancied ourselves on penalties. We know how good we are at penalty shootouts, but on the other hand, we've still got to do more to go and win the game in extra time as well. So, listen, we're disappointed with the end towards the game. We'll take a lot of positives from the way we started, but the most important thing is reaching the cup final.
Yeah, it was difficult going down 3-0. They scored kind of soft goals, in our opinion, where we could have defended better. We could have been in better positions to maybe stop the attacks or stop the goals that they scored. And we kind of just felt the whole game that we would have our chances and our opportunities if we were able to push them back and possess the ball a little bit more than we were able to in the first half. And yeah, that's what we did. And, yeah, that's where the belief came from. It was just all in us the whole time.
Back-to-back seasons then, we will have an all-Manchester final. Manchester City to take on Manchester United on May the 25th. You can, of course, see that game live on ESPN+. For more on this tie, Stephen Nicol has appeared. What a treat for us all. But before we hear from Stevie, this is what Ten Hag had to say after the game.
But it's not an embarrassment. It's, as I say, it's a huge achievement. So even a big team from United, from a decade ago, they only achieved the final 3 times. We now 2 times in 2 years. So that's a good performance. And that, with all the setbacks we have in this season.
Ten Hag then on the front foot. If you didn't see this game, it's almost impossible to put into context the feelings afterwards, Craig, because of the manner away that Manchester United collapsed 3-0 up with.
Well, the good news is, I think we've all brought a big bat with us today to give them a good whacking.
But look, people say, "Oh, you're anti-Man United again." But this is something different.
No. They're in a right. Well, let's get some stuff that's factually correct. They're in a cup final again. He may have mentioned that.
Yes.
They are appalling for what they have spent, for what they are. How many times have we sat here this year and talked about them being outplayed by the mediocre teams in the Premier League? A bunch of times. And it's because it's happened. And today they were outplayed by a mediocre team in the Championship, from 3-0 up. And I don't mean, and we heard Harry Maguire there, and that was a shortened interview with Harry Maguire, because some of the other stuff that he was talking about was off the charts. I mean, some of the things he said were right when he said we played like kids at times, which they did. But he said, we're good at penalties. Manchester United are hanging on against 8th place Coventry for penalties in the FA Cup, absolutely clinging on. I mean, and the other thing he talked about in the lengthened interview was the injuries and how they were affected in midweek. They had 11 international footballers on the field, yet from the half-time whistle, when Mark Robins changed from a back 5, which is not how they normally play, and they didn't look comfortable. They were not in the game for 45 minutes. As soon as he changed to the back 4, they looked a lot more comfortable. They dominated the game. The Fernandes deflected goal came against a run of play, and from that moment on, and when they got the goal, there was only one team dominating the game, and it wasn't Manchester United. It was Coventry City.
What was incredible, Stephen, we've done a lot of games over the years, is the manner of the lack of celebrations that we saw from Manchester United at the end. When Rasmus Højlund scored, he's celebrating on his own. There's no running from the halfway line to celebrate. The players knew it. They just wanted to get off that pitch. Sheepish celebrations, which epitomised how they got away with one today.
It's just relief is all it is. Nothing else. As soon as Hoyland hits the back of the net, every single one of them is thinking, apart from Hoyland, how did we get away with that? That's why there's no celebration. They understand that they're lucky they're still in the FA Cup. They understand that they've gotten away with one. But what they don't understand is how bad they are. They really don't understand that as a team, they're not a unit. And the only thing going into this game that United should have been worried about should have been matching the commitment and the desire of Coventry. Because as far as ability, it's a mismatch. So the fact they got outplayed is even worse. I could understand if Coventry had rolled them over and were physically too big and strong for them. I can accept some of those arguments. But what you can't accept is getting completely dominated by a team who are in the Championship and who probably won't be in the Premier League.
Why was there such... why did they crumble so much? With 20 minutes to go, you concede one surely. As Craig mentioned, you've got 11 internationals on the pitch to galvanise this team, to bring it together, to see out this game. They were so lucky in the end not to concede 4.
They do not have one person that can lead them. There's not one person that they can follow. I think of all the teams that I've played in, I'm sure the boys are the same. Every team, or every good team, successful team, has somebody who will lead them, whether it's keeping it tight, whether it's open up and playing, whether they're inspirational. There's always somebody, and there should be more than one in a club of the size of United, that can lead them. They got none. They got experience, they got internationals, but they don't have anybody who really is a leader.
I suppose that in the second half, Coventry City are better, right? But you're still up 3-0. You're still in full control of the match. The moment that first goal went in for Coventry, it was like, oh, what do we do now? Where do we go from here? And how quickly this team drops off to a level to where now they're barely hanging on. And to Erik ten Hag, and as to what he was saying in the postgame, he was less than inches, which is what was the offside call, to essentially getting his coat and going home. Because there's no chance that he would go back to Manchester with the team after going through this embarrassment. There is no hanging on to the job after, if indeed they went on to lose the game in the manner in which they could have and should have lost the game. And for him to come out and say, a great performance, for however long you want to say, it's a perfect opportunity for you to come out and apologize. And apologize to your fans and say, look, it's embarrassing for us to put ourselves in the position in which we put ourselves. And yet somehow they try to spin this around into some sort of positive story because you made the final. You backed your way into a final. This was embarrassing. For Manchester United, a club of this size, unacceptable.
Think about his family, Ten Hag. They had to get the sofa back out the removal van. That was packed. They had to get it back out again, just in case he survives, because he's gone. I mean, I think he's gone anyway. Right? And nothing against the guy, but it's all BS. Has been from the beginning of the season. This is just a bad outfit. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some bad apples at this club. We've talked about it all season, right? But can it be a surprise and not be a surprise? Can it? Because I'm not surprised we're talking about United in this way after a performance. But I should be surprised. You're 3-0 up. You're not 3-0 up against Liverpool. Tottenham, Man City, and you go, well, better watch because this lot are coming for us. How can this team with this manager allow this club that have lost 3 out of the last 5 in the Championship? They sit 8th, right? They're not exactly flying. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're 9 points off 6th place or thereabouts. How can you allow them to pass it around as if they're the Premier League team at Wembley? You know what they say about Wembley? Big pitch. Poorer players get found out because the game gets stretched and all that. It's incredible.
This word character drives me insane. and Ten Hag is guilty of using it every single time they have a performance like this, which have been many. And he keeps talking about character, the way that they've, as Craig said, backed into this final, but somehow they've spluttered to some victories. He keeps pulling this character. If you had character, all these things wouldn't be happening. And he doesn't see it. because he keeps convincing us that they've got it when they don't.
It's a lack of character.
It's completely the lack of character.
But some United, I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of Man United fans, like a lot of fans who see things a little bit clearer than others, right? And they'll be saying, oh, they weren't a final. Would you be saying that if it was Liverpool or City or whoever? You know, if somehow a Championship side came back, and would you be talking about them in this kind of terminology? And the answer is probably no, because that would be an anomaly, right? That would be a one-off. You don't really see that happen. We see this, and we have seen this a lot from this Man United side, a lot this season. But it's always been against Premier League teams. And even that's a hard one to take when you think, how can they be dominated by Bournemouth at home? How can they be dominated by Brentford? How can they struggle against Sheffield United? We scratch our heads at that. Now we've moved down another level and say, how can they cling on to this and manage to get through against a Championship side and almost blow it in the manner in which they did? It's scary.